Hi, it's Lee Carraher, and we're talking about our point of view on social media today, which is sort of ever-changing in terms of what's going on. But our main point of view doesn't change, that social media is here to stay, that it's a vital communication channel for you and your customers, and you and your employees, and you and your partners, and everybody, you in the world, however you want to define that world. And you know, the golden age of the OGs really helping us to understand and do things right and get to the world and communicate, you know, that's over. Right now, it is a shit show out there, right? TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, Pinterest, Discord. I mean, you know, the list goes on and on and on. However, they're here to stay, right? And the whole conversation around TikTok, will it stay? Will it get, you know, legislated out? What does Facebook, you know, the incredible fines that Facebook has had to pay, not only in the United States, but in the EU and worldwide, on their breach of privacy, how Instagram is back to prioritizing stills and prioritizing carousels over video. You know, it's just blah, 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 right? It just keeps going on. In the end, what we want to talk about is a balance, right? So when you're communicating with the world, when you have to connect with a customer, and that could be any customer is a person, right? So could be a B2B customer, could be a B2C customer, but there is a social media space for you on this. And also there's a paid media, like what you pay advertising, and then there's the earned media and what the owned media, right? So we sort of think about it in 4 different buckets that all layer on top of each other so that you can do a surround sound and make sure you're capturing and engaging with the customers and users and audiences that you want to, that will be successful for your business, right? If you don't have an audience, you don't have a business. So let's just talk about it right now in terms of Q2 2023, where we are feeling where to put the effort. First, on for owned media, the things that you own. So you own your website, you own your email list, you own whatever you print. Those are things you own. And frankly, this is where it should be the hub of all of your communication, because you own it. If you're counting on LinkedIn or TikTok or social media, other social media, or just advertising or even just, you know, media relations to deliver your message consistently over time so that you can predict it, that is a false hope. That is just a false hope. Social media, by definition, is owned by other companies who have their own goals, right? So everyone talks about the algorithm change and all this kind of stuff, where you've gone for, you know, a while and you had success, and then that's not working for Instagram, or that's not working for TikTok, or that's not working for Facebook, or that doesn't work for Pinterest or whatever. And they change the algorithm, and then you have to adjust to maintain your presence, right? So if you're counting on social media to be the only deliverer of your message, it is a fool's chase. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means that you should absolutely focus on what can you own and what can you directly give to your customers. You know, your customers aren't going to your website all the time. It's important to capture their email address. It's important to do that stuff because you own all that. Maybe I've said it enough. Owned. On social media, you know, well, let's talk about earned media. So earned media is that space that reporters or influencers or your friends or your enemies or whoever carries your message without you paying for it, right? And back in the day, they called this PR. PR was just media relations. PR is so much more than media relations, but media relations. How did we get to the New York Times, who's going to be listened to by our audience, etc., or to a trade pub, or to a newsletter, or to whatever it is, right? So the earned media piece, a few things going on there, right? One, in many ways, there are more earned opportunities than ever there were be. Well, there were be. In many ways, there are more earned opportunities than there ever have been, and in other ways, there are many fewer earned opportunities than ever have been. Just last week, Vice, and then Vice got rid of a lot of people. BuzzFeed killed its news team, and the whole model for earned media is just very, very challenging. However, it is the most credible, most converting kind of media you can do. It's also the most unpredictable, right? Because we don't pay for it. So it's unpredictable what exactly they're going to say and when exactly it's going to run and what page it's going to be on and all that kind of stuff. So it's unpredictable, but most influential. So an earned media strategy, if it's media, like media outlets, reporters, television shows, radio, podcasts, whatever, should be part of everybody's strategy. But you can't count on it to show up when you want it to show up. So that's where you use social media, paid media, and owned media to surround that thing. So the most influential thing is buoyed up by the things that you, can control, and then in terms of owned and then paid, and then amplified and carried by social media, which is then you need to optimize for each platform. Okay, so on paid media, obviously, these, external marketing efforts that you pay for space and you pay for, and you create the message for, that you pay for, right? It's the easiest thing to drive reach and frequency on, right, which we need, but it's the least influential in terms of, which is why you need so much of it, right? We used to use that number seven times the right user or right consumer had to see the right message in the right place, or 7 or 12, depending on who you are. Now we use the number anywhere between 37 and 49. I mean, an insane number of things, the same number of times. But you can guarantee that, right? You guarantee that. We're not going to talk about Google search today and Google ads today, because that's a whole other conversation on that. But anything you pay for, you can guarantee that it's going to show up when you want it to show up for the price, right? Let's talk about social media now. Basically Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, mostly been left behind in this new wave of big social media. Discord, Twitch over Discord. Pinterest is like coming on strong again. It is sort of like the sleeper hit for very specific audiences, and just making so much money. YouTube, short video on YouTube is killing it, and TikTok, which has over 150 million people in the United States use TikTok. And there is a lot of conversation, obviously, in Congress about whether they're going to ban TikTok. I am sort of skeptical about that because of, it's been absolutely, Facebook and other social media platforms have had a sort of a large, heavy hand in that work. And TikTok's not been fined yet in this country, but Facebook has, right? I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. So, and people are slowing down on their work on getting onto TikTok as they're waiting to see. My gut is that TikTok's going to be here to stay in some way, shape, or form. And everyone's sort of scrambling around to see what could be the next TikTok on that. But they obviously, all these platforms work very, very differently. LinkedIn, probably from a corporate perspective, your number one place to be. Again, leveraging what you have on your own media. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Discord, and I mean, you can go on for days. Most important thing is that you're optimizing for what's current, what the current rules are on best practices, which change all the time, and that you find ways to leverage content in all places. And now, Canva has tools that you can auto-save in many different formats, Sprout Social, I mean, a lot of these things kind of do it. On Twitter, let's talk about Twitter for a second. Twitter, when we talked about this, I think in the first quarter, like early in the first quarter, the media were still on Twitter. And, Twitter has devolved dramatically since it changed ownership last fall. And it is, a bit of a cesspool from my perspective. And I used to be a heavy Twitter user. The blue checkmark fiasco continues to undulate. Took all the blue checks away. Then Twitter started putting back blue checks, even though people weren't paying for them, so that people, because there's a value in the blue check. But most of the people who had earned their blue checks were not going to pay for their blue checks, their verified checks. Once Twitter called NPR state-owned media, and they put that designation on it, basically that stopped the media from actually really slowed down the media use of Twitter for disseminating their message. So they called NPR state-owned media, which I could go on for days. I used to be on the board of KQED for 9 years. I can tell you it's not. And the way that money gets to NPR is, it's just much more complicated than that. But now NPR decided they were not going to they didn't delete their channels, but they're not putting any more content onto Twitter. And then CBS said the same thing. And then other publications and news sources have also said the same thing because of that. Once the media stop using Twitter from a media relations perspective, earned media perspective, it's less useful. In general, in media relations, you want to be where the media are. So where are the media? Are they on? Everybody was on Twitter, and that was a reason to stay, for media relations people to stay on Twitter, because all your reporters were on Twitter. Now, many fewer are on Twitter, and they found other outlets. So they're on Substack, and Instagram, and they're on TikTok. The Economist is on TikTok. The Economist is running ads on TikTok, doing deals, When The Economist goes somewhere, that's when you know, right? That's when you know. So as a media relations amplification connection point, Twitter is really losing its value. And to connect with people, LinkedIn, TikTok, some Instagram, depending on the type of outlet, some Facebook, depending on the type of outlet. It really sort of depends on the category. But I would say Twitter, I wouldn't bother with. And I would bother with LinkedIn and TikTok right now for media relations. In the end, it's a balance, right? It's a balance like how much money do you have, how much time do you have? And in these priorities, right? The priority is own your own media. How can you maximize your earned media, and then how can you maximize reach and frequency through paid and or social media, and then communication and engagement through social media. You need a balance. You need to have your eagle eye on what's going on all the time because it's not done changing. It'll never be done changing, right? I'm old enough to remember the time when people said, Google, they're not going to replace Yahoo. Yeah, see how that happened. All right, you can download our POV over at double-forte.com. It has a lot more data, a lot more links. You can go dig deep on this. Happy to answer any questions. Give me a call or email me at lcaraher@double-forte.com. All right, bye-bye.